When ordinary tractors couldn't keep up with larger farms, engineers answered with machines that broke every limit of size and horsepower. From prototypes to production titans, they changed farming forever. Here are the 12 biggest diesel tractors you never knew about. Number 12, Schlüter Profi Trac 5000 TVL. In the late 1970s, tractor makers across Europe were searching for ways to prove that power and scale could meet the growing demands of large farms. Out of this moment came one of the most unusual machines ever created, the Schlüter Profi Trac 5000 TVL. It was a prototype that stood apart not because of mass production or wide adoption, but because of the sheer ambition behind its design. Farmers who first saw it at agricultural shows were stunned, as this was not just a large tractor, it was a vision of what farming giants might look like. The foundation of this machine rested on a massive 12-cylinder diesel engine built by MAN. Its displacement measured 20,911 cubic centimeters, equal to 1,276 cubic inches. This kind of size placed it far above most production tractors of its day, and it was meant to show that European engineering could rival the biggest American heavyweights. The block was turbocharged, giving it the kind of steady breathing needed to supply strength across long hours of work. When it came to rated output, the tractor produced about 500 horsepower. That number may not sound extreme when compared with modern giants, but in the context of the 1970s, it was more than enough to capture the attention of every farmer who witnessed it. The delivery of that power was designed to be smooth, letting the Profi Trac handle oversized implements that were usually reserved for multi-tractor operations. Torque figures added to its reputation for brute force. The MAN engine developed close to 1,480 pound-feet, a level that meant soil could be broken open with little hesitation. Heavy clay fields or stubborn ground conditions that often forced tractors to stall were no match for this kind of pulling strength. On the road, the tractor reached speeds of about 19 miles per hour. For a machine of its size and weight, this was a respectable figure, showing that the designers intended it not just for the field, but for transport between farms as well. Operators also appreciated the four-wheel steering system, which allowed this giant to maneuver in ways that seemed impossible for its bulk. The Schlüter Profi Trac 5000 TVL was never put into full production, with only a single unit built. Yet its presence proved that even a company from Bavaria could imagine tractors on a world-class scale. Number 11, John Deere 9630. By the late 2000s, farming across North America was shifting toward ever larger equipment, and tractors had to grow in both weight and power to keep up with massive implements. John Deere answered this demand with the 9630, a machine that stood tall as one of the largest production tractors of its time. Farmers who worked wide-open acres in the Midwest or the Canadian prairies found in it a partner built not for small chores, but for pulling some of the heaviest loads in modern agriculture. At the center of this tractor's identity was its articulated frame. By pivoting at the middle, the 9630 could transfer its bulk across uneven fields without losing traction. This design made it stand out immediately from smaller, rigid tractors, as it gave operators control over a machine that otherwise would have seemed far too large to manage with precision. The articulation also paired well with its heavy ballasted weight, giving the tractor the stability it needed to keep working through long, demanding shifts. Power came from a 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel that carried a displacement of 13.5 liters, equal to 827 cubic inches. This large block was known for durability under heavy draft loads, and its design followed the John Deere tradition of using wet sleeves to extend service life. With such capacity under the hood, the 9630 became a tractor that could remain in the field all day without being pushed beyond its limits. The rated output reached around 530 horsepower, which placed it in a class with the biggest production tractors of the era. This strength allowed it to pull implements that stretched across many rows, cutting down the time needed for tillage, planting, or field preparation. Farmers quickly learned that the 9630 was not just about raw numbers, but about how steadily that power flowed through every gear and condition. Torque delivery reinforced its reputation for pulling strength. The big John Deere engine produced close to 1,900 pound-feet, which meant the tractor could keep moving even when draft forces climbed in heavy soils. That steady force made it reliable in situations where smaller machines would have faltered or lost ground. For transport between fields, the 9630 reached a top speed of about 25 miles per hour. While no one bought it for road use, This figure meant that operators could still move such a large machine between farms without wasting time. The fuel tank held more than 300 gallons, giving it the endurance to handle the longest shifts on the largest farms. Number 10. Fendt 1167 Vario MT. Modern agriculture often demands machines that can combine raw pulling strength with advanced technology, and few tractors show that balance as clearly as the Fendt 1167 Vario MT. Built by AGCO under the Fendt name, this machine was designed to deliver consistent performance on the very largest fields, proving that size and precision could work hand in hand. Farmers who operate thousands of acres quickly recognized that it was not just another tracked tractor, but a platform built for endurance under the toughest conditions. Central to its design was the decision to use a tracked undercarriage instead of conventional wheels. The wide tracks reduced soil compaction, spread weight evenly, and gave the machine stability on ground that often challenged heavy tractors. In large operations where protecting soil health is vital, this became a practical advantage, allowing the tractor to pull wide implements while minimizing long-term damage to the land. Beneath the hood sat a man-built 6-cylinder diesel, one of the largest blocks ever fitted into an agricultural machine of its type. The engine displaced 16,200 cubic centimeters, equal to 989 cubic inches. This scale of displacement gave it breathing room for high torque output and long periods of continuous operation, exactly what large-scale farms needed from their biggest power units. The rated output reached about 673 horsepower, placing it among the most powerful production tractors available. That level of strength gave operators the confidence to handle heavy tillage, deep ripping, or wide air seeders without hesitation. More than the number itself, what impressed farmers was the way the tractor delivered steady strength across a wide range of engine speeds, which meant fewer downshifts and less wasted fuel during demanding work. Torque output was another of its defining features. With figures near 2,100 pound-feet, the tractor offered the kind of pulling muscle that made it suitable for the heaviest field work. Operators reported that even in clay soils or when pulling oversized implements, the tractor held its ground and maintained momentum, something that smaller machines often struggled to achieve. The Vario transmission added further appeal by offering a continuously variable design, letting the engine run at efficient speeds while still delivering maximum power to the tracks. On the road, the tractor could travel close to 25 miles per hour, allowing large operations to shift between fields quickly despite its size. Comfort was not overlooked either, as the cab was equipped with advanced suspension, excellent visibility, and modern controls that reduced operator fatigue during long shifts. The Fendt 1167 Vario MT stands as proof that modern tractors can be both massive and refined, combining advanced engineering with the brute strength required to power the biggest farms in the world. If these first tractors impressed you, the ones coming next will completely change your view of how massive farm machines can be. Stick around to see the biggest diesel powerhouses, and make sure to like this video and subscribe today. Number 9. Case IH Steiger 785. In the mid-1980s, farmers across Europe were searching for dependable utility tractors that could perform a wide range of tasks without driving up costs. Among the machines introduced during this time was the Case IH 785, a tractor that reflected the new identity of Case after the merger with International Harvester. Built between 1985 and 1990, it quickly found a place on mixed farms that required both strength and efficiency. Rather than being designed for the largest open fields, this tractor was built for flexibility. It could manage daily chores around livestock operations, while still offering the strength needed for plowing and cultivating. Farmers valued its simple construction, which meant it could be serviced with basic tools in the yard, a feature especially important in areas where dealership support was limited. That practical approach became one of the reasons the 785 gained loyal users across many countries. The heart of this tractor was a 4-cylinder diesel engine that carried a displacement of 3,930 cubic centimeters, equal to 240 cubic inches. The design was straightforward, with wet sleeves that allowed easy rebuilding when hours piled up. Operators found that this engine was not only reliable, but also forgiving, able to start in tough conditions and continue working without constant adjustments. Power output measured around 82 horsepower, which was well suited for the mid-sized implements, common on European and North American farms. It could handle tasks such as hay cutting, baling, and pulling small trailers, yet still offered enough reserve for heavier tillage when required. Farmers often mentioned how evenly this power was delivered, giving them confidence that the tractor would not lose momentum when faced with harder ground. Torque was another important part of the story, with the engine producing close to 220 pound-feet. This allowed the 785 to pull through stubborn soil and manage heavy wagons without the need for constant shifting. For operators spending long days in the field, that steady pull meant less strain and more productivity. Fuel use was reasonable for its class, with the tractor often managing close to 14 miles per gallon. Combined with a fuel tank of about 25 gallons, this efficiency gave farmers extended working hours without frequent refueling stops. The machine also came with practical hydraulics and a reliable 3-point hitch system, making it compatible with a wide range of implements. The Case IH 785 may not have been the largest or most powerful tractor of its time, but its mix of durability, serviceability, and versatility made it a trusted partner for countless farms. It remains remembered as a machine that delivered exactly what working farmers needed without unnecessary complication. Number 8. Big Bud 650/50. Few tractors in history have managed to capture attention quite like the Big Bud 650/50. Built in Havre, Montana, this massive machine was designed with one clear purpose: to handle the largest fields and the heaviest implements that modern farming could demand. Its size alone was enough to make it a spectacle, but it was the combination of engineering choices and brute strength that turned it into one of the most talked-about tractors of its time. The appearance of the 650/50 left no doubt about its intended role. An articulated frame gave the tractor flexibility across uneven ground, while huge dual wheels on all corners provided the grip needed to keep moving under tremendous loads. This structure allowed the machine to harness its full weight without losing stability, something that made it highly effective on the broad, flat farmland where it was most often seen. For operators who spent long days pulling wide plows or heavy cultivators, the design meant fewer interruptions and greater productivity. Power came from a Detroit diesel 12-cylinder 2-stroke engine, a choice that emphasized both output and durability. Displacement measured 12.1 liters, equal to 736 cubic inches. This block was large enough to sustain continuous work under pressure, which was exactly what farmers expected when investing in a tractor of this magnitude. The engine was serviceable as well, with parts and knowledge readily available across the country, making it a practical solution for long-term use. Horsepower was rated at 650, a figure that made it one of the most powerful tractors available in its production years. With this level of strength, the 650/50 could perform tasks that previously required 2 or more smaller tractors working together. Owners soon realized that this translated into significant time savings across the season, particularly when the weather offered only narrow windows for planting or harvesting. Torque delivery added another dimension to its performance. At over 1,000 pound-feet, the pull of the engine gave operators the confidence to tackle tough soils without fear of stalling. Heavy clay ground and deep ripping implements were met with steady progress, showing that the 650/50 was built for the hardest jobs. Despite its raw strength, the tractor could still manage transport speeds near 19 miles per hour, making it reasonably efficient when moving between fields. Its large fuel capacity and robust hydraulics further cemented its role as a machine that could handle extended operations without compromise. The Big Bud 650/50 was not just another tractor, it was a landmark in the history of large-scale farming, remembered for proving how far diesel power could be pushed in the field. Number 7. Rite 750 Earthquake. Across the northern plains of the United States, a small company from Montana decided to build a tractor that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the largest machines in the world. That company was Rite, and its creation, the 750 Earthquake, lived up to its dramatic name. Built in extremely limited numbers, this tractor showed that even a small builder could produce a machine of massive scale when farmers demanded strength beyond the ordinary. The sheer size of the Earthquake set it apart the moment it rolled into the fields. An articulated frame allowed the tractor to bend in the middle, giving it maneuverability that a rigid design could never achieve at this size. Enormous dual wheels carried its weight across the soil, and farmers who operated it quickly noticed that the tractor seemed almost unstoppable when hooked to the largest plows or cultivators. Its wide stance and balanced weight gave it stability that allowed operators to push hard without fear of breaking traction. Beneath its long hood was a Detroit diesel 12-cylinder 2-stroke engine, one of the most respected heavy-duty engines of its day. Displacement measured 12.1 liters, equal to 734 cubic inches. This engine had already proven itself in trucks and industrial applications, and when adapted to the Earthquake, it offered both the durability and the serviceability that large-scale farming required. Access to parts and familiar design features meant mechanics could keep these giants running for decades. Horsepower output was rated at 750, a figure that made it one of the most powerful tractors available at the time of its introduction in 1977. This enormous strength allowed the earthquake to handle field work that smaller tractors could never attempt on their own. In practice, it reduced the need for multiple units by giving one operator the ability to pull the heaviest implements single-handedly. The torque curve was just as impressive, with figures reaching nearly 1,400 pound-feet. That steady pull meant the tractor could power through heavy clay soils or steep grades without faltering. Operators often recalled that once the earthquake found its rhythm in the field, it kept moving with an authority that justified its name. Transport speed reached close to 19 miles per hour, which for a tractor of its size was respectable, and allowed it to move between distant fields without wasting valuable time. Added to this was a spacious operator station, reliable hydraulics, and rugged construction that made it as practical as it was powerful. Number 6. John Deere 8960. When the late 1980s arrived, many farms in North America were expanding at a rapid pace, and their equipment had to keep up. John Deere stepped into this growing demand with one of its largest articulated tractors ever produced, the 8960. It was built for heavy tillage, wide seeders, and deep ripping, jobs that required strength far beyond ordinary field machines. For many operators, this tractor marked a shift from medium horsepower into the territory of serious high-draft pulling power. The sheer size of the machine was the first thing most people noticed. It carried massive dual tires on each axle and relied on an articulated joint in the middle of the frame to handle turns smoothly. This design allowed the tractor to move its enormous weight across fields without losing traction, and it meant that even in difficult conditions, the operator could guide the machine with surprising control. With a long wheelbase and a balanced frame, the 8960 became a favorite on large, flat farmland where acres stretched as far as the eye could see. Hidden under the long hood was a 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine built by Cummins, one of the most trusted names in heavy-duty power plants. Displacement measured 14.0 liters, equal to 854 cubic inches. This size of engine was chosen for its ability to deliver steady power under constant strain, and it was equipped with wet sleeves that allowed easier rebuilding when hours piled up. Farmers valued this because it gave the tractor not just raw muscle, but the potential for decades of service. In terms of rated strength, the engine delivered around 370 horsepower. That figure put it among the top production tractors of its class when it was released in 1989. More importantly, the power came on smoothly, giving operators the confidence to run wide implements without losing pace across uneven ground. With this much horsepower available, one tractor could often replace the work of two smaller ones, saving time and reducing labor demands. Torque added another layer of capability. With output near 1,250 pound-feet, that steady pulling force made it possible to push through stubborn soils or climb rolling terrain while keeping the implement firmly in the ground. For farmers who needed reliability in tough conditions, the torque curve mattered as much as the peak horsepower because it kept the tractor moving when the soil put up its greatest resistance. On the road, the 8960 could reach speeds close to 19 miles per hour, a practical figure that allowed operators to move between distant fields without wasting precious daylight. With a fuel capacity of over 200 gallons, it could handle long days in the field with fewer stops, a necessity on farms where productivity often depended on every available hour of good weather. Comfort was not ignored either. The SoundGuard cab provided isolation from noise and vibration, giving operators a quieter and more controlled environment for long shifts. Strong hydraulics, a reliable 3-point hitch, and a heavy drawbar system meant it could adapt to a wide range of implements. Number 5. ACO 600. In the wide farmlands of South Africa, where fields stretch for miles and conditions often punish machinery, a tractor emerged that carried both size and local pride. The ACO 600 was not a product of a global manufacturer, but rather the creation of engineers who understood the unique demands of African agriculture. Built in the town of Middelburg, this machine quickly became a symbol of strength, proving that even a regional company could stand among the giants of the world. What made the tractor so impressive at first sight was its scale. Weighing more than 25 tons, it carried a commanding presence in the field. Its articulated frame allowed it to maneuver despite its bulk, while large wheels spread its weight across the soil to maintain traction. For farmers working enormous acreages, the 600 offered a level of efficiency that smaller tractors could never match. One operator could manage wide plows or massive seeders, reducing labor and time across long workdays. The engine was central to its reputation. Power came from a V12A DE diesel, a design based on Mercedes-Benz engineering and fitted with turbochargers to maximize strength. Displacement measured 21.9 liters, equal to 1,335 cubic inches. This enormous block gave the tractor both stamina and serviceability, since parts were readily available and the design was familiar to heavy-duty mechanics. Farmers trusted it because it could be repaired and maintained without relying on distant factories. Horsepower figures reached 820, placing it at the top of its era. With this kind of output, the tractor could perform deep ripping, large-scale tillage, and land preparation at speeds and widths previously considered impossible. Operators often recalled how the 600 handled the harshest soils without showing strain, making it a dependable partner during tight planting or harvesting windows. Torque was equally formidable, climbing toward 2,500 pound-feet. That steady pull gave the machine confidence in heavy ground, keeping wide implements firmly in motion. Instead of losing speed or requiring frequent downshifts, the tractor held its pace, which made long shifts more productive and less stressful for the operator. Although designed for field strength, the ACO 600 could still reach travel speeds of about 19 miles per hour, making it practical for large farms spread across wide regions. Its cab was spacious and modern for the time, with good visibility and controls that made long days more manageable. Number 4. Case IH Steiger, Quadtrac 620. Across the vast plains of North America, farmers often face the challenge of working ground that demands strength far beyond what a standard tractor can provide. To meet that demand, Case IH developed the Steiger Quadtrac 620, a machine that combined high horsepower with one of the most effective traction systems ever created for agriculture. The result was a tractor that could keep moving across the heaviest soils and widest fields with a confidence few others could match. The design centered on a 4-track system that gave the machine both stability and grip. Instead of wheels, the tractor relied on independent rubber tracks at each corner, which spread its weight more evenly across the ground. This design not only reduced soil compaction, but also gave the tractor the ability to climb through soft conditions, where wheeled tractors often lost momentum. Farmers who needed to protect soil structure while still handling large implements quickly saw the Quadtrac as a practical solution. Powering this giant was an FPT cursor diesel engine, built to deliver continuous performance under extreme loads. Displacement measured 15.9 liters, equal to 972 cubic inches. The block used advanced cooling and fuel systems to ensure that it could run long hours in the field without faltering. With wet sleeve construction, rebuilds were made easier, giving operators confidence that the tractor could remain in service for decades. Horsepower ratings reached 620, making it one of the strongest production tractors available when it entered the market. This level of power allowed the Steiger 620 to pull some of the largest implements in agriculture, from wide air seeders to deep subsoilers, without hesitation. Operators often praised not only the raw figure, but also the way that power was delivered steadily across a broad range of speeds. Torque production was equally impressive, climbing beyond 2,600 pound-feet. With that kind of force, the tractor could keep heavy tools firmly engaged with the soil, even in demanding conditions. Instead of slowing or slipping, the Quadtrac maintained consistent progress, saving time when every hour of the season mattered. On the road, the tractor reached speeds near 25 miles per hour, a remarkable figure for a machine of its weight and size. The cab added to its appeal with excellent visibility and suspension that reduced fatigue across long shifts. Its hydraulic system provided high flow for modern implements, while its robust frame and articulation offered durability in the toughest fields. Number 3. Big Bud 950/50. On farms where fields seem endless and the ground demands unrelenting power, few machines ever stood out like the Big Bud 950/50. Built in Montana, this tractor carried on the tradition of Big Bud engineering, which had already stunned the agricultural world with oversized machines. The 950/50 was built not just to be big, but to prove that horsepower and durability could be pushed far beyond what most companies dared to attempt. The frame was designed on a scale that dwarfed most competitors. With an articulated center, the tractor could pivot smoothly despite its immense weight, and its massive dual wheels gave it a footprint large enough to distribute power across the soil without excessive slippage. Farmers who operated it quickly learned that the 950/50 was built to do the work of several smaller machines, saving time in the short planting and tillage windows when every hour was valuable. Power came from a Caterpillar diesel engine that matched the ambition of the tractor's design. Displacement measured 27.0 liters, equal to 1,648 cubic inches. This engine was chosen for its ability to run under heavy loads for extended hours, and its robust construction meant it could withstand the kind of punishment that would quickly wear down smaller power plants. It was a true industrial engine, adapted to agriculture. Horsepower output climbed to 950, a number that placed it among the most powerful tractors ever to enter a field. This rating allowed the machine to pull wide cultivators and deep rippers with ease, covering huge swaths of land in a single pass. The impact was immediate, as operators discovered that the 950 could cut field time dramatically compared to any conventional tractor lineup. Torque levels were equally staggering, pushing past 3,000 pound-feet. This steady force gave the tractor unmatched pulling ability, allowing it to keep moving forward through dense soils and heavy resistance without stalling. The effect was that operators no longer worried about whether the tractor could handle a task, only about what size implement they dared to hook behind it. Despite its enormous size, the tractor still managed practical transport speeds near 18 miles per hour. This made it possible to move between distant fields without sacrificing too much time. Large fuel tanks, reliable hydraulics, and rugged mechanical systems added to its reputation as a workhorse capable of operating long days without interruption. Number 2, Big Bud 16, FIV 747. In 1977, on the open farmland of Montana, a machine was built that challenged every notion of how big a tractor could be. Farmers had been asking for equipment capable of pulling the widest implements across the largest acreages, and Big Bud answered with the 16 FIV 747, a tractor that quickly became a landmark in sheer size and capability. The first sight of it left people stunned, not only because of its massive dimensions, but also because of the promise it carried for high horsepower farming. The tractor's structure was immense, with an articulated frame that allowed it to bend through turns, despite its enormous bulk. Standing over 14 feet tall and more than 20 feet wide, when fully equipped with duals, it was larger than many barns on the farms where it worked. The scale was matched with heavy-duty axles and a frame built to handle loads that would tear apart lesser machines. For farmers managing thousands of acres, this kind of strength meant fewer passes, less time in the field, and greater efficiency during critical seasons. At the heart of the 16 FIV 747 was a Detroit diesel V16 two-stroke engine. Displacement measured 24.1 liters, equal to 1,475 cubic inches. This massive block provided the lungs needed to sustain output under constant heavy draft, and its wet sleeve construction meant it could be rebuilt to extend service life far beyond standard expectations. The choice of engine reflected Big Bud's philosophy of combining agricultural needs with proven industrial power plants. Horsepower ratings at launch stood around 760, an unprecedented figure for its time. Later, upgrades by owners pushed that figure closer to 1,100, placing it well beyond the reach of most production tractors even decades later. This kind of output allowed the machine to pull cultivators 40 feet wide or more, tasks that would normally have required 2 or 3 tractors working side by side. Torque numbers told an equally powerful story, reaching more than 2,900 pound-feet. With that kind of force available, the 16 FIV 747 dug into the soil with authority, keeping its momentum even when conditions turned difficult. Farmers using it often spoke of how the tractor seemed unstoppable, powering through heavy clay and deep ripping tasks that brought smaller machines to a halt. Despite its bulk, transport speeds approached 12 miles per hour, enough to make movement between fields practical. With fuel tanks holding more than 1,000 gallons, the tractor could work long days without constant refueling, an essential feature for operations spread over thousands of acres. Operators also benefited from a cab designed with comfort in mind, offering visibility, sound insulation, and controls positioned for ease of use. Number 1. Challenger MT 975B. When farmers talk about size and strength in tractors, the Challenger MT 975B often comes up as a machine that pushed the boundaries of production horsepower. Built by AGCO under the Challenger brand, this tractor was designed for the very largest farms, where wide fields and deep soils demanded equipment capable of working long hours without hesitation. Its presence in the field was hard to ignore, as it combined massive weight, high horsepower, and a design meant to translate all of that into steady pulling force. The MT975B stood on an articulated frame that made maneuvering possible despite its bulk. With large dual wheels mounted on each axle, it carried its weight across a broad footprint, reducing slippage and increasing efficiency when pulling heavy loads. The tractor's size alone gave it an edge, but it was the engineering under the hood that truly set it apart. At the center of the design was a Caterpillar diesel engine, a proven industrial powerhouse adapted for agriculture. Displacement measured 18.1 liters, equal to 1,105 cubic inches. This engine was not only large, but also built for longevity, with features such as that made overhauls more straightforward. For farmers running thousands of acres, this meant confidence that the machine could keep working season after season. Horsepower ratings reached nearly 575, putting it among the strongest tractors available in its class. That much strength made it possible to pull implements covering more than 40 feet in a single pass, greatly reducing the time required for land preparation or seeding. In operations where weather allowed only short planting windows, the ability to cover acres quickly was a major advantage. Torque added another layer of performance, with figures exceeding 1,800 pound-feet. This steady pull gave the MT975B the ability to dig through heavy soils, climb rolling ground, and keep large implements firmly engaged without faltering. Instead of slowing under pressure, the tractor held its ground and maintained progress. For transport between distant fields, the tractor reached top speeds near 25 miles per hour. A fuel tank with more than 400 gallons of capacity meant that it could work through long shifts with fewer interruptions. Farmers also valued the hydraulic system, which delivered ample flow for modern, high-demand implements, and the operator cab, which combined visibility, ergonomic controls, and comfort to reduce fatigue during long days. The Challenger MT975B showed what could be achieved when a tractor was designed with no compromise on size or strength. These massive tractors showed how far engineering can go when farms demand pure strength. Do you know another diesel giant worth mentioning? Let us know in the comments. Remember to like this video and subscribe to catch the next one.